Hello, I'm Keyoka, the awkward black nomad. I'm a writer, I'm a dog mom, and I travel solo. My channel is for black women who want to travel more or maybe even live abroad. I talk about my experiences bopping around with my two dogs all around Europe, but I also interview other black expats. These are people who travel frequently or maybe even live abroad on my channel. So if this sounds like something you're interested in, subscribe to the channel, like the video, click the notification button so you are always notified when I go live and bring a new person onto the channel. So today we have a special guest. Let me bring her up. Hello. Hi, Blair. How are
Hey,
you? This is Blair. Blair, where are you?
I am in Belgrade, Serbia, a place I have been calling home for over 2.5 years now, and I am just absolutely in love with this place.
That's amazing. So we don't really get a lot of people on the channel from, well, we do on my channel, but I think
Mhm.
I think the Balkans in general are sort of like hidden, like they're like hidden gems. Like people never thought to venture to Eastern Europe. They don't know, well, not technically not Eastern Europe, but they don't know
Mhm.
how amazing it is over there. I think there's been a lot of like naysayers or like a lot of people giving misinformation. So it's always a special treat to have somebody from the Balkans, or not from the Balkans, but who lives in the Balkans, to come on the channel and give some insight. So what brought you to Serbia?
Well, first, thank you for having me on this channel. I am a YouTuber, a recently new YouTuber, but I've been watching a lot of your content and other creators' content that live the nomad or expat lifestyle, which I've been living for 11 years, but I haven't shared that on YouTube. And you're absolutely right. The Balkans and Eastern Europe first are two different regions. And a lot of people are not in the Balkans or they don't know about the Balkans because the reputation for many countries is is not the best. But when I came here 3 years ago, I was just like, wow, I didn't know what to expect. I always came with an open mind to any country I've been in. So really, what brought me to Serbia was just timing and an opportunity after living in Paris for some time. And Paris, I know a lot of people love it. It's a dream location for travel, but it's not a good location for me as a businesswoman, expat businesswoman. So I gave Belgrade a week and I was like, okay, let me figure myself if it has everything I need on my list. And it did. And I fell in love and I was like, okay, I'm going to stay.
Yay! Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Claudia. As y'all come into the room, please drop down in the comments and tell us hi. Um, so yeah, I've heard that a lot about Paris. I've only been to Paris for like a weekend kind of thing when I was staying in Germany. Um, it's it can be a vibe. I like the food, but I don't know about starting a business there. I think I've heard the Paris bureaucracy has a lot of like red tape, especially for
Mm.
foreigners. But how did you decide on Serbia? Because I'll speak on my perspective. When I was bopping around, I was like, country hopping makes you feel like you're dating a bunch of different people. And it's like, listen, I don't know who I want to commit to. Okay. Like, I don't know who's going to give me full time. Okay. Cause there's just too much to see. I
Mhm.
like a little bit of this. I like a little bit of that. So, how did you
Mhm.
decide to stay in Serbia and actually start your business there?
Well, for me, I would have to say my path as an entrepreneur, as an expat, is a very different path. When people go overseas, you either start out to work, and I began my journey as an English teacher. And I love that comparison, like bopping around is like dating. So with every country I lived in, I went where there are opportunities, where it was like a mutual kind of benefit for if I'm living there, if I'm working there, if I want to do business there, and what the country can do for me. So Serbia really is not like the most unique country I lived in. I used to live in Kazakhstan,
Hmm.
and there was a lot of opportunity, at least for me, as an English teacher, as an aspiring business owner. So I think Paris and other like advanced economies that I lived in, like Singapore, South Seoul, Korea, I just had to realize it's like the US, everything's very expensive, everything is done, and it's just not really beneficial for me to live there. Versus in Serbia or in Kazakhstan or in Turkey, I also lived there. It was a mutual benefit. it was a good fit until it was not. So far, Serbia, I'm not married yet, in terms of do I have a citizenship? Do I want to become a citizen? Yes. Uh, it really was just like I love the country loves me. I was able to register and incorporate my business. The people are kind, they're friendly, it's easy to walk around. I'm single and child free, pet free, plant free. So it is very easy for me to pack up my life. And it's been very intentional, like living this way over the last couple of years. So it's just an opportunity. I go where there's opportunity, and it's just been a really great fit so far for me.
So we'll get to background information, but you said something I'm a little curious about, so I'm gonna ask that. So you aren't a
Yeah.
resident in Serbia. I'm assuming you have a visa. Do you mind sharing what kind of visa that would allow you to start a business?
Yeah, so there's, I believe, a few ways to be able to settle. I actually just got my visa approved because with the war in 2022, that really disrupted a lot of Europe when it comes to settling, getting the visas. And that's why I actually left Paris because you had a lot of people, trains of people coming, fleeing the war. And as a non EU citizen, and trying to start a business, that made things a lot more complicated. And also, there was a presidential election at that time. So it was just the perfect storm of just this is not going to work out.
Mm.
So I wanted to still stay in Europe and not go to the US. I'm spending 5 years. So I saw the Balkans as, a possible opportunity just to stay in and figure things out. In Serbia, it really is relatively easy to settle. So you either start a business and get your residency through a business, and it can be any type of business. You either buy property, you're married to someone, or even if you're living with a local, you can get your residency. So it's actually, yes, quite a very
Shacking
flexible and
up?
open business.
So there are some perks to shacking up?
There is. There are. I mean, I wouldn't encourage it because you put yourself in a very tricky situation,
Mm.
especially if you're a woman, if you have kids. But every other country I lived compared to here they want foreigners, they welcome foreigners, especially if you're going to start a business. You don't need 100,000 euros to start a business and sponsor yourself. And when I was in Singapore, that was the case. Same thing as in Thailand. Um, but you can easily start a business. And many people here are talented, educated, speak English. And many people, foreigners that do start a business, they have foreign clients. So if you're earning in euros or dollars, you can live quite comfortably here.
Okay. And what about so I know in Albania Americans get this visa on arrival and we can stay for up to a year. What is it
Mhm.
like in Serbia?
So when you come to Serbia, first, whether you're staying at a hotel or a hostel or you're renting an apartment, you have to get this thing, a paper called a white paper. So it's like a registration so the government knows where you're staying.
Mm.
And you can technically stay up for 90 days. And then many people do the whole visa run game. You go in and go out and kind of start the clock again.
Mhm.
There has been some changes since I've arrived, and especially since the war. You had like almost 500,000 people have come here. So they have moved everything online to streamline applying for your visa. So I can't speak to those who are not starting a business. I do have a legal team that has helped me register my business, do all my accounting and stuff. Uh, but I know for sure you can come for 90 days, but you just have to register and go to the police station, give your passport, and like the landlord or the owner, they'll just, but some hotels do that on your behalf, so you don't have to do that anymore.
Okay. So it sounds like you applied for your business visa before actually going to Serbia. Did you ever visit
No,
the country? No?
I just arrived and I told you, I arrived, I gave myself a week. It was June 1st, 2022. I came here at 7 a.m., I remember. And I had no idea what to expect. However, I stayed in a hostel, and again, the hostel, the owners, they register all the guests. So after a couple of months, and I was like, okay, I can really make this work. And it has everything I'm looking for. That's when I went and found a legal team, and they helped me uh, put all my paperwork together so I can register my business.
Okay, awesome. And what is your business in Serbia?
Yeah, so it's called ABC Experiences and Events DOO. So it is a Serbian company. And I
Mhm.
do a lot of consulting and B2B services. And I started out with events. So for the last 8 years, while I was teaching English, I had my luxury afternoon tea parties and I organized women in business, consulting, and investing to come together. So that was the primary business. But I've expanded to B2B services. So I have partnerships with different hotels and property managers who want to have international clients and tenants and customers. And I streamline and make introductions for people to stay at their properties if they want tourists that want guides. I do a lot of different things. So again, my business gives me a lot of flexibility.
Awesome. And I'm putting a link if you are interested in Blair's relocation services. I'm putting a link in the chat. I'm going to pin it and also it'll be in the description of this video. Um okay, so like let's go back to Serbia. What does a
Yes.
typical day look like for you? What are you getting into?
So I feel like with Serbia, first, Belgrade is a small city, which I really like. There's less than 2 million people. It's walkable. You have a small expat nomad community because, again, Serbia is very unique. However, for Europe, a lot of international companies are based here. So you have a lot of people coming here for a weekend, for a day, because everything in Europe is quite connected. So
Mhm.
for me, I'm the type of expat since I work from home and I'm a business owner. It's not the same type of day for those that are probably married or those that have children or working a 9 to 5 job. So I have a very flexible day. I start my mornings very slow. Sundays, I do my ballet. When it comes to business, it's really either behind my computer or if I'm doing business with locals, people love to talk over meals. So I have very long lunches and dinners. The nightlife here is great. So for me, my style is very not typical of the average expat or local.
Now you mentioned working remotely. Is there the kind of infrastructure that supports that kind of lifestyle? So like if a digital nomad wanted to come to Serbia, would they have problems with internet connection? Is it common to see people working in cafes? What's that kind of like?
Okay, so it's actually the perfect place because Serbia, I think there's one place in the world where you have free Wi-Fi in the city center. And I've
Okay.
been to like some of the most economies. Like I was surprised. I came here as a tourist. I didn't know anybody, know anything. Everything was closed at 7 a.m. and I had free Wi-Fi. The cafes are always full. It looks like no one's working, but people love to have their coffee or cappuccino in the cafes. There are co-working spaces. So there are a lot of options for high-end co-working spaces or just regular budget-friendly co-working spaces. And there is a very high internet speed. You have to understand with Serbia, a lot of American companies, for example, have outsourced a lot of their customer service out here because Serbians speak very, very good English. So you have the proper infrastructures if you are working remotely or if you're working for an international company, working with colleagues that speak very good English.
Mhm. I think that's kind of what surprises people, but I feel like in Europe, I mean, in most places, it's a privilege that everybody has usually learned English. But I think a lot of people get really surprised when they go to different European countries and they realize, like, oh, they speak English. Yeah, that's the world we live in. You know, people speak English. Yeah.
It's not only just speaking English. I think historically, I mean, Yugoslavia was very in the Balkans, are very different from Western Europe and
Mm.
from the Eastern Bloc, former Soviet countries. So yes, people speak English because many people learn English in school and from American movies and television. But when I say speak English, they have like a perfect, clear accent. You would never know if they told you that they were Serbian by how they speak. And in other countries I've been to, I mean, the French, they're okay. German's okay, but I can catch small mistakes, and there's like these small idiosyncrasies and like humor. Like not all cultures have like really mastered English, and I've saw a
Mm.
lot of that here.
Okay. Okay. Um. So you said that you've been living abroad for 11 years. What's something that you have learned about yourself or that has surprised you about living outside the US?
What I've learned about myself is I'm very resourceful. And when I say resourceful, in terms of how, if I want to pack up my whole entire life in 2 suitcases, I've learned I can do that. I don't need a lot of stuff, because I moved around a lot when I was a child, and I guess that kind of prepared me for this lifestyle. So being resourceful and flexible. And one thing I also learned about myself is that I'm a very extroverted, sociable person. So for me, being in the right city where I can find groups and parties and ways to socialize and network, like, really nourishes my soul. You know, living, at least Boston is the capital of Massachusetts. I'm not exactly from Boston, but even going to the big Boston city, it just seems very segregated. It's very hard to socialize and network if you didn't go to those certain schools or if you didn't grow up in certain neighborhoods in the city. And here, or in this expat life of mine, being American, having that privilege is a great stepping stone. But also just being the social butterfly that I am, it really nourishes my soul just to be able to socialize and go to all these cool events and even have my own events. And it's just really something that the life I'm living, I always wanted to live
Mm.
growing up. It just, I guess, in the States, this life is a very privileged life. So now I'm living like my childhood dreams.
I love that for you. I love that. And we talked a little bit about that with Stephanie Perry on the interview on this channel, where like there's a you that you haven't met yet because you're in the wrong environment. So I think it's amazing that you've been able to go into these different countries and kind of explore and then meet a different version of yourself that probably was always there but was never like nurtured, you know?
Yeah, my sister jokes like, "Oh, think you're a socialite." I'm like, I kind of am. You know, it's just, I go to ballet, I go to these exclusive events. Like, again, like, I read about this stuff like from magazines. I know, I'm not sure if people still read magazines, but Teen Magazine, Cosmopolitan, and just seeing like the life I'm living is just like really great. As a child, I always was very active and sociable. It's just the wrong location, just the wrong, I guess, social class, if we're going to be perfectly honest. So it's nice that I could live this life. And I think I recommend anybody just take a year to go abroad. And I know that's a very privileged thing to say, but if you do have the time and the
Yeah.
money, or resourceful, like, you can be who you truly meant to be if you have take the time for yourself to be in a new environment where no one's gonna judge you, they don't know you, and you could just be a whole new person, or the
Yeah.
person that you are really meant to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is privileged to say to someone to go abroad, but I do also want Black people in particular to challenge themselves a little bit and kind of think outside the box, right? Like when you set the intention and say, I want to go to wherever it is, I really believe that the world is going to rise to meet you. So, like, when you start thinking differently, things will start to move around in your life to make whatever your dream is possible. It sounds crazy. It sounds a little
And
woo.
I wouldn't say it sounds crazy. I just feel like I've been planning this lifestyle since I was in the 5th grade. So this has
Right.
been a long-term planning. And there's this other channel I follow. It's called The Financial Diet. And I remember they did an episode like, you have to not only just long-term plan, nothing can go wrong for 20 years of your life if you want to live the ultimate dream life. No sickness, everything is good, a stable home. Like, so many things can go wrong from your childhood to adulthood. So even I saw there was problems in my childhood, and I'm really glad that I had no major health problems. There was a bit of an instability, but still there's that seed planted in me, like, I want a better life for myself. I didn't see it around me. I maybe read it in books, I saw it maybe on TV, but I never seen anybody really live this expat life, starting a business in a different country, moving around. That was just something completely unheard of. But I just knew in my little mind, it was just like, this is not it. I want something better. And
Yeah.
when I went to study abroad for the first time in high school, I was like, okay, yes, the seed was really planted. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I saw Europe. okay, we're gonna have to figure out, that this is a reality. I'm not
Yeah.
just imagining.
And I think too, like the pandemic sort of impacted a lot of people, even though you've been traveling longer. But I'm saying, at least this was my impression, that like because there was this sort of um, epidemic that happened, right? And everybody, I think it shifted the way people saw the trajectory of their lives. So whereas like the status quo was okay, and I'm like working and I'm gonna build a future for myself, and I'm okay just trekking the path most traveled. The
Mm,
pandemic happens, and then people are like, thrown into an alternate universe and they're like, wait a second, my life doesn't have to go this way. I can do something else. Hey, I always wanted to take surfing lessons, or hey, I always wanted to XYZ. So, like,
mm.
um, I think it's been sort of beneficial that now I think more people are traveling more than ever, right? Having new experiences more than ever. And even you coming onto my channel talking about living abroad, like getting these different stories out there and sort of shaping this new idea about what life could be. So like this month is the new Black Girl Magic. That's a theme that I haven't announced that I'm announcing now for my channel. And basically I want to talk about how, Black women are changing their idea of what their dreams look like. So I think it's so beautiful that you are out there living your dreams, girl. And I think more women are going to follow you, or they're doing it right now. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I would have to say a lot more women, especially the ones I grew up with. People are either delaying marriage and
Mhm.
children. People are getting their education, and social media. I remember when Facebook came out. I was in high school. I was a senior in high school in 2008. So it really opened up a window to seeing, like, you're not always comparing yourself to your neighbors or your friends. Like, you can see a window of the world of how other people are living.
Yeah.
And uh, as far as the pandemic, for me, I left the US because I studied political science and I did a lot of political work. And I saw early in the days, just like, I cannot, with what we see now, I saw that in 2014. So I went and studied, and it was just a whole mindset shift, living out of the US and seeing how other societies operate, where your work is not your identity. You can have a happy, high quality life. Universal healthcare is great because it makes sense if the whole population is healthy, So it was a lot of years of deconstructing, the narrative we grew up with: just work hard, go to college, work, and then maybe you can enjoy your life when you're in your 60s. And there's always been a few privileged Americans that went to Europe. When most Europeans, or most of the world, people do a year abroad before they like commit the rest of their life to work, or because many places in Europe or Asia is very close, it's easy to travel around the continent.
Yeah.
So for me, it took a lot of time for me to get where I am today. And I'm glad to see more women are traveling, are taking those trips. And your big day doesn't have to be your wedding day. Your big day could be that, your 30th birthday. I turned 30 on the pandemic in 2020, January 2020. It's my birthday month. I remember I had a fantastic afternoon tea party at the Ritz Carlton in Almaty. It was
Oh no. Wait,
oh
did you
no, my
freeze?
here. Okay.
Wait.
Yeah, I did my freeze. Yeah. So I had an amazing 30th birthday at the Ritz Carlton in Almaty. And it's just like, I love these tea parties because it is like so many moments where it's not just me, but I'm celebrating with other women. We're dressing up. So I think growing up, people always look to weddings, baby showers, buying a home as like the major milestones, where you can travel, you can throw yourself a party, you could design the life that you want for yourself. It's definitely possible.
Yes, yes. And not putting your life on hold too, because I think for me, I had never been outside the country before 2022. I'd never gone anywhere internationally, and I was like 28. And I just got to a point where I was like, okay, I don't have anybody to go with me, so I'm just gonna go. Like,
Good.
right?
Don't wait for people.
Don't wait
Don't
for
wait.
people.
Not wait.
And I turned 30 in 2023. That's when I decided to do my like nomadic bop around Europe. And I spent my birthday on the beach in Spain. And I'm like, it when you see the life that you can provide for yourself, I'm floored. Like I was like, listen, the little girl from New Orleans was not meant to be like was not meant to be. This is not about me. I'm so off topic because this is our first
No,
time
but this
talking.
is
This is our first time talking.
good.
We're gonna get to Serbia, but it's just amazing when I see women who look like me doing the things that I want to do and like going around the world and living these fabulous lives. Like we are, you know how there's always like one bougie auntie in the family who like for whatever
Mhm.
reason she's like on a boat like on the south of France. Like why is she there? We don't know. We are those people now.
Yeah, I'm the very bougie, well traveled, well educated auntie. Definitely, I have a
Yeah.
niece and nephew. And as far as returning to the talking points of Serbia, I'm living my best life. I feel like it's important for us to live in a country where we are celebrated, not just tolerated. To live in a city and space where we can be our authentic selves, and that really is Belgrade for me.
Yes. Yes. So we talked a little bit about it. I'm going to go back to it. When you're in Belgrade, how are you building community? Oh gosh, it just got brighter.
Ooh. Okay.
But how do you build community? Are the people friendly? Are they welcoming? What kind of things are you
So,
doing?
so the thing is, when you live this expat life, you learn, how to make friends, how to build community. So I have a lot of practice. For me, any city I've come to, I always have an afternoon tea party, and I connect with people on the Facebook group. So Facebook groups for every expat is essential. So there's an expats in Belgrade, women in Belgrade, expats in Serbia, and I talk to different hotels saying I want to have this event, and they roll the carpet out for me because they've seen my pictures and like, wow, this girl's great. Go on the Facebook group. So I have my tea party community, and again, since I'm a business owner, I'm very used to networking. So networking in terms of going to different types of professional events, like there's the chambers of commerce. Every country has their own chamber of commerce. I'm religious, so I'm part of a religious community. So that's another way for me to network. So if you are a nomad and you come here, there are a lot of meetup groups, there are a lot of coffee groups, there are internations, they're quite big here. There are, and since I'm child free, I mean, I'm sure if you're a parent, it's easy to connect with other parents at the international schools. There's mom groups. So here it is very, very friendly in terms of how to make friends with other expats and locals, because locals, they do like to meet and socialize with international people. And if you're in business, you have to network. So going out to professional events, going out to different restaurants and bars and clubs, people really at least do business over meals. So it really is quite easy to build a community. But you have to have like a strategic, for me, I have a very strategic strategy when it comes to making friends and building community and also nurturing and giving back. You can't just take, right? So if you become part of a community, you want to make sure like how can I contribute? Either my time, my expertise, organizing something. That's how you want to be able to be valued in the community.
Okay. Okay. What if a woman is listening to this right now and she's like, how do I organize something in a foreign country? Because I mean, you got to think like you want to,
Okay.
you know what I because I think in the US there's a way that we do things. So
Mhm.
I imagine it would be vastly different in Serbia, right? Or no?
No, they have
You
the
just go
US has a
around.
meetup platform, right? You go on Facebook saying, I want to get some girls together over dinner. I've seen people do that. There's a big Russian community here now because of the war, and people say, let's meet strangers over dinner. This is the price, this is the place. So Facebook is really, I know in the US is kind of a dying platform, but in many parts of the world, Facebook is so essential. You have to understand we have evolved when it comes to the telephone. And in some places, I remember people were telling me people went from just getting landline phones to cell phones, like smartphones,
Mhm.
right? Facebook and social media is so essential when it comes to communication. So going on Facebook groups, joining those many groups, and then there's WhatsApp groups. I know WhatsApp's not popular in the States, but that's how most people in the world communicate. Telegram, they have the Telegram app, going onto these groups. And not everyone is an organizer. Like for me, I have that organizer gene.
Yeah.
I'm like a professional at this. But if you're not, one thing as going to an event, talk to the person that organized, because we organizers, we are always looking for volunteers or someone to help. And that's how you kind of get the inside on other events that we might not, publicize. So that's really the strategy. Yeah,
Chapters all over
internations.
the world.
Yeah, it is. They have so many chapters. And I went to internations in Kazakhstan. That's how I actually was able to be really successful with my tea parties, because I met the organizers and met other key people that really organize international events. So yeah, you have to really, a certain period, I know not everyone's extrovert, but you have to at least, there's a 6 months or a year grace period when you come to a new city to put yourself out there. Whether you're coming as a worker or as a trailing spouse or a digital nomad, you have to be out there networking. Say yes to the coffee meetups. Say yes to the internations. Say yes to the nature walks. Say yes to meet people. Now I'm much more selective about meeting people. I'm not just trying to meet any random people. I meet people through friends. But when I first came to Belgrade, yes, I was meeting a lot of people, but I also came as an offer saying, hi, I'm an organizer. I'm organizing the afternoon tea. It's a new idea because people love coffee. It's not like a concept here. So I was the first to introduce the whole afternoon tea experience to Serbia.
Hmm.
Now hotels do it. So that's my advice, how to go about it.
Okay, and I'm gonna reframe that for the introverts watching the channel, because this is the Awkward Black Nomad. You guys don't have heart palpitations. Take a deep breath. I'm gonna break it down. So, what she said was, don't organize the event, but connect with the organizer, right? Which is just one person. We can do that, right? Try to have intimate relationships with just one person here, one person there. You don't even have to stay long. Go to the event, stay for 30 minutes. Give yourself a time frame. Okay, that's what I like to do. Give myself a time frame. I'm going to go in there, 15 minutes, boom, connect with one person at least. And you know what? You might stay longer. Okay, that one person might introduce you to another person. And now you got a group.
Exactly.
Now you're a part of
Yeah.
a three person group. But there's ways to build community when you're an introvert as well. You don't have to organize events, but like
Yeah. You don't. Yeah.
it's good to hear what the extroverts out there doing though. Y'all are trailblazers, okay?
Exactly. And again, when I met with other organizers, we are so happy when people ask how they can help. And
Hmm.
we're happy to introduce people. So if you have that friend that is well connected and introduce you to everyone, hold on to that friend. Because I have a friend like that here as well. He's a foreigner. He's even more extroverted than I am. He's well connected. And some of the really nice events I went to last year is because through him. He thought of me. He brought me as his plus one, and it was just such an amazing it was a game changer for me, because I went to there's a royal family here, they have a palace here, and I went to a really beautiful black tie event. I wouldn't know about that because it's not really advertised, but he's my friend, he likes me, he sees the value in what I'm doing for business and for my tea parties. So when I want to go out or want to know what's going on, I call up my friend. He's like, okay, Blair, let's go, and I'm just taking care of.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Definitely. So, what if you could go back in time? What's one thing you wish you knew before moving to Serbia?
That's a really good question. The thing is, a lot of things have changed even the last 3 years. When you say things, I don't know. I mean,
Could be
one
anything.
thing is people do smoke indoors. Smoking indoors is a thing. I mean, it wouldn't make a difference if I knew that ahead of time. So I don't think I would change anything.
Yeah. Morning TV. Hi, everybody. As you filter in the room, everybody, please like the video. This is your reminder. Like the
Hi,
video.
everyone.
Hi, everyone. If you have a question for Blair, please put a Q in front of your question. Um, okay, I like that. That means you're having a good experience. And sidebar, if you guys are gonna go to Europe, They be smoking everywhere. There's always smoke in your face. Okay.
Yeah, but here it's indoor smoking. Most of Europe has
Yep.
banned indoor smoking, but here in Serbia, it is, especially in the winter, it can get. I mean, I've gotten used to it, but when I first came here, I was shocked. But part of my business is organizing group travel or helping people with the itinerary of where to go. So if you want to come to Serbia, see my website, book a consult, and I know the nightlife, the day life, the best spots to see, and experiences that you can have in this wonderful city.
I love that. Okay. So, I mean, what are some of the things you do at night? Like, other than like dinner, or is there like a big club scene? Um, I don't know. What do
I
people
just wrote about
like?
this on my blog. Belgrade actually has the best nightlife in Europe, I'd have to say, because A, there is a space for all
That's
budgets.
high
I'm
praise.
a very good girl, so I like to go to high end places. But if you want to go to a techno bar, if you're 18 and you're like the first time in Europe, they have spaces for that. If you want to go to a jazz bar, you want to go to Speakeasy's bar, you want to go to a gypsy bar, if you want to go to hip hop and type of music, like they have music and bars and restaurants and clubs for every lifestyle, for every budget, for every taste in music. And
Okay.
people party late here. So things don't really get interesting till like midnight. And if you're like the type to party all night, there are places that close at 8 in the morning.
I don't know nothing about that.
Okay, I'm just saying, you
I'm
never
just
know. Some people like
letting the
to party
people
hard.
know. If y'all have questions about the nightlife, I have my standard list that I'm going through. I don't know nothing about going out in the night, in the middle of the night. I will be sleeping with my blanket. Um,
So
but so we talked a little bit about budget. What would you say your monthly expenses are there in Belgrade?
So before we just end the nightlife, I went out last night to this place that had the Greek night, and it was really, really fun. So if you're going to come here and you're a woman, just know to dress up times 10 because people here really take seriously to dress their best, whether they're going to the grocery store or going to the nightclub. And
I
as
think
far
that's in Europe
as
in general.
no, no, no.
Really?
When I
I
was
feel
living
like
in
Americans are so laid back with attire. Like I feel
they
like in Africa and Europe, people are like dressed to the nines all the time.
yeah, but here more so, they're even take
Really?
it a further. Again, Western Europe is very different from the Balkans and then from Eastern Europe. Balkans and Eastern Europe, women take beauty to a different level. Because when I was in Germany or Paris, like what French women or German women are very like, yes, they dress up a little bit more, but more professionally. Here, women are much more glamorous. It's a different level. People still look good. They're well groomed. They dress nicely, but for women here, yeah, you're not gonna be seen without makeup. You better wear your high heels. If you're going to take out the trash, like you need to just look nice. No excuses.
You're taking out the trash, you're gonna look nice. But
Yeah,
you
as
were talking
far
about Greek night. You were talking about Greek night. How was it?
Yeah, the Greek night was really fun. Part of my business, I do promote content for different restaurants and hotels. So I've been to this place called Bottega, and they have these Greek nights. So Greek music, they have really great food, the entertainment. I just made a video on my channel. So if you want to subscribe to my channel and my shorts, so you
Yeah.
can see what the Greek night is like.
Yes, and I'll
And
put it in the description of this video and also in the comment section. Check out her channel, you guys.
yeah, subscribe, check it out, subscribe and see the shorts because I do shorts every day of just like little tidbits of Belgrade. And there's a lot of, again, different nightclubs with different themes. But in terms of expenses, for me, rent, again, if you are single, child free, and don't have any pets, here, minimum like 700 euros. I just moved into a nice studio. And as far as food, in Europe, people go to the grocery store maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And then they go to the bakery like every day because people eat fresh, healthy food. So I spend maybe 50 euros a week on food. And I walk everywhere, though they have public transportation, which is also really cheap. It costs nothing really to take the bus, like 2 euros to take the bus. Going out and clothes, they do have the Zara, they have H&M, they do have a few like really high-end stores. So it really depends on the lifestyle you want to
Oh,
live. But you
really?
could squeak by 1,500 euros a month.
I'm surprised they have. I don't know. When I was in the Balkans, they did not have Zara, but
Well,
we like how
they do have,
developed.
yeah, they have Zara, they have H&M, they have Mango, they have a couple of other international brands.
Hmm.
Uh, and they do have some luxury brands as well too. So yeah, Belgrade is not some backward city. Like this is a really international city. They just finished renovating the airport, so it's really beautiful to fly in. They have a whole beautiful waterfront, which they've been investing over the last decade. So a luxury mall, high-end luxury apartments. There are places where you can rent 20,000 euros a month. So if you want to really ball out, you can find some beautiful penthouses here. People drive not just Range Rovers, but the Mercedes Benz, Bentleys. I've seen a lot of Bentleys lately, Rolls Royces. Like this, there are rich people here. I've met them.
There are
So
rich people everywhere,
yeah,
but
it's different to be rich in a rich country like the US versus being rich in a developing country. It's a
mm,
different type of rich.
but it's also I think my surprise at the brands is because usually when you go to a developing country, they won't have like some of the stores that you're used to seeing. You know, like
Mhm.
maybe a Zara because Zara I think has a lot of I can't remember where.
Zara is Spanish. It's
Yeah,
Spanish.
yeah, right. So maybe like a Zara, but I'm not used to seeing like some of those other brands. So that's really interesting to know.
Yeah, yeah. Zara, H&M, and I've been out of the US for a long time, so I'm used to some of the brands I've seen. But they do have some. Okay, they don't have a Gap or Old Navy,
Well,
and they don't have a Macy's. I'm
no, but
surprised
still,
those.
like to have, yeah, that's really
Yeah. So
cool.
no, they have really good stores and they have a lot of local brands. So if you love dresses and dressing pretty, you can find a beautiful clothes here as well.
Mhm. Are there like, I don't know if it's correct to call this a cultural experience, but like, is this a place where you would go to have clothes made?
You, that's a good question. I feel like a lot of men here do get their suits made or get things
Mhm.
tailored. And there's a Max Mara store nearby me. And given how their clothes are designed for models, if you go there, they have like an in house tailor. But I wouldn't say this is a place to get clothes made. You can get your clothes tailored to fit you well, but no, this is not
Are
for
there
at
any
least for
like,
women.
are there
No.
any like traditional Serbian experiences that you recommend?
Well, yes. I mean, I focus on Belgrade because I'm a city girl and I love being in the city, but there are places to see in the countryside. There are some other like old cities. I think the oldest actual city in Europe is in Serbia. I do not know the name of it, but it's here. There are a lot of cultural and historic places that you can see. There's a place called Kalimantan Park, which is an old fortress because Serbia or this region was ruled by the Ottomans for like 500 years. So it's an old fortress that you can go and explore, walk around. They have the Nikola Tesla Museum. Nikola Tesla, one of the founding fathers of electricity and a lot of modern day technology. He was Serbian. So you have a lot of stuff and a lot of museums. And historically, Yugoslavia um, welcomed a lot of African students to study in the 50s. So there's an African history museum where the artifacts, I think this is the only one in the world, were actually given to the people, not stolen.
Mm.
so, so there are a lot of history stuff to see.
Okay, I love that. Okay, we definitely strayed away from budget. So you said you
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
spend around €50 a month for groceries, and
Or
then
a
a
week,
week. Oh,
50.
sorry, that's a difference. It's still very, it's better than the
I
U.S.
mean,
But
I cook a lot. Like, if
mhm.
you want to go out and eat, and it depends, there are some smaller stores and shops or restaurants you can go to. But again, what is your lifestyle? That will really determine what your budget is. Because there are some countries, when I lived in Bangkok, you never had to cook because there are places that are breakfast, lunch, dinner, late dinner. But here, people do cook. But in the grocery store, they have like a section where you can actually buy like pre-cooked meals. So if you don't want to cook, you can go to the grocery store and get your rice or your prepared cooked meat. I do that sometimes, or cabbage. So it depends on whoever wants to move here, what is your lifestyle and how you want.
Well, how would you? So, like, I'm not a cook. I'm not a chef. And when I was traveling, I would eat out a lot, but it's different because the quality of food was different. So like I could eat out a lot and still get a lot of whole foods. What's the
Yeah.
Serbian diet kind of like?
So a lot of meats, a lot of dairy, and it's a lot of fresh food. So again, you can go to the grocery store. You don't have to cook, but you can buy those prepared foods.
Hmm.
And for some of those smaller restaurants, you can get what they call like the chipapis with like little sausages and a lot of cabbage. I don't eat a lot of food, so I'm just, I guess, not the best person to recommend because I don't eat dairy, I don't eat pork, I don't
Well,
eat shellfish. So they,
that's
I
what I was
don't,
gonna
but
ask.
they do.
Does
Yeah,
it
they do
support
eat.
a vegetarian or vegan diet? Do you think?
So they have a heavy meat diet, but
Mhm.
since Serbs are, or most Serbs are Orthodox Christians, they do have fasting days 2 times a week where it is vegan. It's called Posno. So they have like vegan pizza, vegan different types of treats. But here, a lot of people do eat a lot of meat and dairy.
Okay, that's interesting. Um, so how do you? I don't know if we covered the cost of accommodations or housing.
Yeah, we can.
How do you find affordable accommodations?
Well, first you work with me because I have those partnerships with property managers. So in their portfolios, they have studios, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, or more. If you are have a family and you want to rent a house, it's possible. As here, at least outside the U.S., as long as you have money, no one's gonna be like, "What's your credit score? Let me see bank statements." And if you're moving with an international company, they will help you. If you're a diplomat, I met some diplomats. They make housing recommendation and they give you like a stipend. So for other expats that like help me find housing, I work with you because I have the right connections and I here give my clients a variety of options. There are real estate agents here as well, but it's just going to be a little bit more expensive because of the whole commission. Most places require a deposit, and if it's more luxury, 2 or 3 or if not 6 months deposit. So I would say if you want the most budget friendly space, and you want to live in the city center, it's either you work with someone like myself or you go on Facebook groups because a lot of people do advertise homes or apartments that they are renting. Or again, you have a network where people are like, hey, I'm renting this apartment. So the more you network, you have to go on those Facebook groups because it's really a lifeline of how to navigate living here as a foreigner.
Mm. What about for short-term rentals? How much should someone expect to pay if they wanted to stay for the 90 days?
So again, like I help people with short-term rentals as well. Again, if you have money, some
Well, what
place
is
I'm gonna
what is have money? Like what is that ballpark? Because
because the thing is, since this is like a unique location and you are a foreigner, having money as in like you can afford to support yourself. You're not relying on a salary. And at least like me, it's just like I have my own company. So I have my own bank account. So for me, I pay about like 600 euros a month for my rent and utilities. Versus in the States, it's not enough to have money. They're going to ask for bank statements, your tax ID, and all XYZ. They're not going to ask about that.
no, I mean just for like a
Yeah.
short stay, not to
So,
like.
so for 90 days, just expect to pay minimum, like, again, your lifestyle and how much space you need. Belgrade is very pet friendly. So some places they do allow for pets. Dogs are everywhere. They have all those dog parks and accessory stores. So if you want to stay for 90 days, 700 euros is realistic. If you have a smaller budget, you're just going to have to be on the outskirts, but it's just going to be harder because most foreigners live in like, there's like 8 major neighborhoods. So if you don't know anybody and you're coming here and you have like a smaller budget, like 500 euro and under, that's possible, but you're just going to have to find that. by
Mm.
yourself. In a lot of Facebook groups that I'm part of and see how people are advertising, Belgrade has gotten a little bit more expensive. So you're just going to have to really network, work with someone like me, work with a real estate agent. But for them, it's not worth, their time to find a room or a space. So go on those Facebook groups and ask. And people do find. I found some of the clients from these expat Facebook groups.
Yeah. And what are those neighborhoods? What if someone is staying there or wants to stay
Yeah.
there, what neighborhoods would you recommend they look for accommodations that there are a lot of expats?
Again, lifestyle. And what I know, I'm going to keep on saying lifestyle. But
Why do you
again,
keep saying lifestyle?
because not everyone wants to live in the city center. Some people want to be closer to nature.
Mm,
If you have a car, it wouldn't really make sense to stay in the city center.
mm,
I would say Belgrade waterfront. If you really want to be where all foreigners are, most foreigners are in Belgrade waterfront. It's a very new development. It doesn't feel like the real Belgrade, but some people like it. I go there sometimes. But that's for me, I feel like I'm Serbian at this point. I've always liked to live in the city center. For many foreigners married to Serbs, they might live and they have kids, they might live in different neighborhoods where there's international school. So lifestyle also depends on, do you have a family? Do you have a car? Do you need like 3 or 4 bedrooms? If you're like a single bachelor or bachelorette, and you don't have a car, live in the city center, just have, a healthy $1,500 a month, a budget
okay.
for yourself.
So if you did want to stay on the outskirts, you mentioned the public transportation. There is no like how would you get around Serbia? Like is there a
Oh, well, buses. There's the buses that go everywhere and they work like I think it's almost 24 hours. It's going to be slow after like midnight. There was a time I stayed in like a different city outside of Belgrade and I just took one bus. It took 30 minutes just to drive to Belgrade. There is a major train that goes to the other smaller city called Novi Sad. It's great. And they don't have like a subway system yet. They're working on it. But many people, if you want to really travel around, you have to have a car. So I think you can rent cars, or if you know someone that's a car, you could get around easily the country. But people use buses and trams and the trolleys to get around, and they're reliable. They that's how a lot of people get around. Not everyone has a car.
nice. Are there any trains that connect you to any other neighboring countries?
It's a good question. I don't. I think there is. I haven't really looked into that because the nearest city is Budapest. Maybe there is a train. I'm not sure. But a lot
That's
of people
fair.
just fly because it's Europe is so well connected. So literally, I flew to Zurich and it was like an hour and a half. You can go to Vienna. There's a direct flight. It's like an hour. So why drive 4, 5, 6 hours where you can just take a direct flight for under an hour?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Oh,
Um.
you
Oh,
want to say I was
you
just
guys are
one
asking
away.
questions. Oh, there's a train
Okay.
to Athens. Tiana knows there's a train to Athens. So we have a couple of questions. Sorry, I've been ignoring y'all's questions.
Yeah.
TB is asking, what are the long-term visa requirements, and can you do it in country or in your home country? So I'm guessing if you're applying for the visa, do you have to be outside of the country or should you be in the
No.
country?
It's best to be in the country. And again, it depends on your passport. If you're an American, come here, make sure you like it at first. And it depends. Are you coming here to work? If you're a digital nomad, you have 90 days as an American to figure things out and play around, bounce in and out of the country, do the whole visa game.
Okay. TB is also asking, is buying a car expensive with an automatic transmission? Girl, you better learn how to drive a stick, girl.
I don't know because I haven't owned a car in like 11 years. I gave up my car when I left the States. So
I
I
considered
really don't.
it. I considered it. Automatic transmissions are usually more pricey just because most of the cars there are a stick. Uh, what are some of the things about the Balkans / Serbia that you really don't care for? Is it easy and economical for you to get commodities you're used to back in the States? Are you shipping anything? That's an interesting question.
Okay, that's an interesting question. Well, since I left the States, the thing is, I haven't done any online shopping. So when I see people doing all these unboxing and Amazon doesn't ship out here. And it's like really, if you do, you're gonna pay a lot in customs.
Mhm.
So the whole shopping online thing, people don't also here don't really shop online. There are other countries I've lived in where they have big online shopping platforms, their online shop like the equivalent of Amazon, but they don't have that here. It's just easier to go to Vienna or to Rome if you want to do some luxury shopping, or there's malls here. So one thing I guess that has saved me money over the years is I don't shop online at all.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Um,
Ooh, there's a train
what are
ahead of
y'all
us. Wow.
saying? What are y'all saying?
But
Sir, listen, 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 listen.
you're on your own
I'm just
channel.
gonna
I
say
see
this.
what he's doing.
I'm just gonna say this. Okay. This channel is for black women. If there are black men watching in the future or here currently, respect the space or you will be banned. Period. That's it. That's it. Yo, this is the first time I've gone live in trolls. I'm kind of flattered because that means the channel is growing. You guys like
Yeah,
the video. Thanks so much.
I'm
Um,
gonna like it.
thank you. Um, so what has your experience with healthcare been like?
So I actually did a YouTube video about this, and if people are really curious, you can watch it. Healthcare, at least abroad, is really affordable. It is such gives me such peace where I can go and talk to a doctor and they actually really listen to me. People are not going to dismiss my feelings or my concerns. It's very affordable. I go to the gynecologist, I go to the doctor, I go to the dentist, I go to the eye doctor. Any problems I have, I pay out of pocket. And it's just a whole world class difference. In the US, you have to go through insurance and people ignore you and this and that and test and money, money, money. It's really simple. It comes down, do you have some money? I paid $40 to get my teeth cleaned, paid $200 to see the doctor, and they did like a whole entire deep review, blood test, EKG, everything. If I had any questions, I can go follow up. They asked me about my family history. I went to the best gynecologist in the country because my boyfriend's best friends with him. So it's really a different whole experience getting healthcare here. You have really high quality clinics. So if you have any type of problem or if you ever want to check up, and I always go to doctors yearly to check in, and I'm in great health, but it's really nice to be in a country in a city that I can just afford to pay out of pocket and get world class healthcare.
Yeah, honestly. Like healthcare makes me cry sometimes. Okay, even as a dog owner, I had my dog's teeth cleaned in when I was staying in Albania. I think it was like $100. Okay, and they have to sedate them to clean their teeth. It's crazy. So just a better quality of life when you go abroad. Um,
Yeah.
so what are I think we talked about it, but you didn't really name any places. So what are some of your favorite spots in Belgrade to hit up when you're there? Well, to hit up.
Okay, so I like going to Galleria Mall. That's the luxury mall on Belgrade waterfront. I was at Bottega, which again, the whole waterfront, you have a lot of these high-end restaurants, and they have this long pedestrian walk that goes to a different neighborhood. So I like to go walk along there. There are many people. People love to spend time outside. This is not a culture where people sit at home watching TV. People are outside, cold or hot. Okay, and at least in the evening, the summertime, people are outside with their pets, with their families. Like people like to be outside. Serbs are very sociable. Like at least in Western Europe, people like to keep to themselves or to their close circle. But here, people are socializing, mixing and mingling, having their long dinners. I've been to a 10-hour dinner. Okay, like people really enjoy life
But
here.
what was the food like? Was it
The
delicious?
the food was just never ending. My wine glass was never empty. I never saw the bottom
Love
of my
it.
wine glass. So I go when I go out, I'm meeting friends at different restaurants. I'm always in the city center or like Belgrade waterfront. If I go to other neighborhoods, it's like if I'm going to meet people in those neighborhoods.
Wow. Okay, that's nice. Very nice. Um. Okay, have asked all of the questions. I've kept you on the live long enough. We done been
Okay.
we done been accosted by the people. I feel like I feel like you've given us a really great snapshot um into life in Belgrade. So is there anything that you want to leave the viewers with? Is there anything advice that you would give for black women who might be interested in visiting or coming to stay?
Yeah, well, hey, we didn't get to talk about dating
Oh yeah, we
because
didn't talk
I met
about dating.
so many Black women and other foreign women married to Serbian men, and they're living their best life here. There's no history of racism here, which is very rare. Like literally, Serbia, I think Harvard did a study. Serbia is the least racist country in the world. There's no history of racism, there's no present racism, there is no anti Blackness here. So living in this place, you're first an American, you're a woman, and then you happen to be a Black woman.
Beautiful. We love it. And we have a question. I don't know. Do we need to ask this question? The store? Is it not the store?
They have feminine hygiene products.
What do
Yes, you
you
can
think
find
the
them.
women there are using, TB?
They have the ones from the West, but I like to, I guess, use local products because I learned the US, those products have toxins in them. So they have the cups here as well. So they Serbia has things that the US have, and then probably even better. Because even when I go to the doctor's office, when I went to my gynecologist's office, he had some machines like that are look like they came from the future. So they have better products, I would have to say.
To put where? Um, but I appreciate you for your time, Blair. I'm gonna invite you back on the channel so we can chat again. Everybody
Yes.
watching, please like the video, click the notification button so you can see when I go live and who I go live with next. If you have anyone who you want me to chat with, put it in the comment section and I'll reach out to them. I also have Blair's contact information in the description of this video and it's going to be in the comment section as well. So please reach out to her if you are looking to visit or relocate to Belgrade, Serbia. All right, y'all. Peace out.